It's true that sometimes UFC fights don't exactly live up to the hype. A good example of that being Francis Ngannou versus Derek Lewis in a fight we all thought was going to be just power shots after power shots on both sides, but ended up being one of the least exciting fights in history. Yeah, UFC 236 was the complete opposite, especially the co-main and the main event. Every single fight we thought was going to be exciting and competitive ended up being exactly that, exciting and competitive. The first fighter that I really enjoyed watching last night was Khalil Roundtree. I hope I said his name correctly. Now, if you guys don't know who that is, you really should, because this is the man that stopped Gokhan Saki with strikes in the UFC. Now, in that fight versus Saki, it was pretty clear that the man was a student of the game, but he took that to a whole new level when he went down to Thailand and spent some time learning traditional Muay Thai. Like, there are a lot of great coaches out there that can teach you how to kickbox like a Muay Thai striker, but actually learning directly from the natives has to be a special kind of experience, and boy, did it show. In that fight versus Eric Sanders yesterday, it was clear from the get-go that the man had some shiny, brand new skills under his belt. He had the classic loose hanging hands, and he was light on his lead leg, and he also had that classic Muay Thai bounce. Now, this whole thing is very practical, especially being light on your lead leg. Like, Muay Thai kickboxers do a lot of work with their lead leg. In fact, when you watch really, really high level Muay Thai, their lead leg is like I would compare it to a boxer's jab. They can fire off lead leg kicks, teeps to the leg, teeps to the body, front kicks to the head, all with minimal effort from that lead leg. So that's why they always keep that thing light. They also keep it light because it allows them to check kicks a lot quicker. And we saw all of it from Roundtree. His weapon of choice for the night was his lead leg kick, and saying that he was efficient with that would be an understatement. He completely shut down Eric Anders with that one weapon and controlled the whole entire fight. I also enjoyed how he then chased the finish. He focused mostly on landing clean shots, not getting hit, and just doing very, very clean work. I mean, his whole entire mentality was that of a seasoned Muay Thai striker. And if you guys didn't watch that fight, you really, really need to. Again, this is the same guy that stopped Gokhan Saki. And as impressive as that fight was, as that stoppage was, I think his performance last night against Eric Anders was more impressive from start to finish because he showed brand new weapons. He went out there, he trained, and he had enough confidence to believe in his training and actually show it in that fight. I can't wait to see what else this man can do as he keeps training. He is clearly a very, very good student, and he is only going to get better from here. Man, I cannot wait. Now let's talk about the co-main event, Israel Adesanya versus Kelvin Gastelum. Now, when this fight was first announced, I was very confident that Israel would win the fight. Like most, I only just really focused on his physical advantages over Kelvin, and I didn't really think about it again until about 2 days ago. I was kind of curious specifically about what weapons Kelvin could use to catch Israel, especially as a southpaw. And watching Israel's fight versus Anderson Silva, it was very clear to me. The right hook, specifically when Israel switches to southpaw and throws his cross or on the exit. This is the weapon Israel had to worry about against the southpaw. Not even the wrestling or Kevin's legendary left hand. It was the right hook. And after watching his fight versus Anderson Silva and seeing Anderson catch Israel with that shot repeatedly, I was really worried. A right hook from Kelvin Gastelum is going to have a much harder impact than one from Anderson Silva. And that is exactly what we saw in the fight. The fight starts off, and right away the height advantage didn't really look as extreme as both fighters assumed their stances. Israel was clearly the longer fighter, but it didn't really look at all like Kelvin would have a ridiculously hard time actually reaching him, partly because of his speed and ability to close that distance quickly. Israel was able to control the range with a few jabs, teeps to the body, and oblique, and he showed right away that he intended to work Kelvin's body as he consistently blasted him with a beautiful roundhouse kick to the body early on. Now, about 3 minutes in to the first round, though, something happened. Something happened that I was scared was going to happen, and it actually freaking happened. Now, again, I figured that the threat wouldn't actually be Kelvin's left hand. It will be his right hook, specifically when Israel goes for the straight off the switch to southpaw. And this is exactly what happened. Israel threw a cross, and mid-switch, Kelvin came over the top, blasted him with one right hook that kind of glanced a little bit. Then he followed up with one more right hook that sent Israel stumbling towards the cage. And the only reason this man did not end up on his back completely was because of the cage. That part right there, as a fan of Israel Adesanya, and as a fan of the man, someone that was rooting for Israel, that part scared the living hell out of me. But Israel was able to regain his composure, made adjustments, and they finished out the round strong. Now, in the first round, I definitely gave to Kelvin Gastelum. He drew blood, he did the damage, so I gave him the first round. In round number 2, Israel right away returned to working the body with those roundhouse kicks, and he had a bigger sense of urgency as well. You could definitely see that first round shook him up, and he knew he had to get to work. As for Kelvin, it was pretty clear at this point what he wanted to do. He wanted to lead with that right hook and follow up with the left cross, and that was basically it. He kind of threw a few hooks to the body here and there and a few jabs here and there, but mostly it was all boxing from Kelvin. Barely any kicks at this point. I don't even think he threw a single kick in the first round and starting of the second round. Around 3 minutes in, Kelvin went for a jab, and then while circling right with the cross, he had a little misstep and found himself completely open and out of position, and you cannot make a mistake like that against someone on Israel's level, and Israel was able to counter him with a cross over the top as Kelvin pulled back, and that dropped him. Now, Israel was kind of winning the round before this, but the knockdown definitely sealed the round for him, and as if that was not enough. With about 50 seconds left in the round, Kelvin again attempts a left cross, but at the same exact time, Israel goes for a spinning elbow, a John Jones-style spinning elbow out of nowhere, which caught Kelvin, rocked him, and almost dropped him again. The second round ends with Kelvin attempting a takedown and failing, and this round right here clearly 100% was Israel's round. In round number 3, though, Kelvin starts out with a kick. A beautiful roundhouse to the body, and he also started doing what his coaches wanted, what they've been calling for him to do. He began to move more and also use more of his weapons. We saw more kicks from Kelvin in this round than we saw in both the first and the second round. Around 4 minutes in, Kelvin actually shoots for a takedown, again, using more of his weapons, and actually gets Israel down. But, of course, he really wasn't able to do anything with that takedown, so Israel was able to get back to his feet. Basically, this round, as I was watching it, was mostly about Kelvin using more of his weapons and finding success because of it. Like, for some reason, in the first and the second round, he just completely focused on boxing with a taller, better kickboxer who uses kicks from range. It didn't make any sense to me, but that's what he did. But in this round here, Kelvin also started to kick as well as the takedown attempts and his movement, and it really all made him far more efficient as a fighter. Now, as the round was ending, I honestly didn't know how to score this round. It really could have gone either way, but I gave a slight edge to Israel. Even though Kelvin got that takedown, I still give a slight edge to Israel in that round just because of the clean work he was doing with the kickboxing. In round 4, though, is where I legit thought Israel was done. I mean, this one was bad. With about 50 seconds left in the round, Kelvin lands a left high kick. I mean, this is unexpected from a man who had been focusing on boxing the whole entire fight. Lands a beautiful head kick, followed by a left straight, if I remember correctly, which rocks Israel badly and sends him wobbling backwards towards the cage. I was like, oh my God, no. I really thought Kelvin was going to unload on him with punches and probably get him out of there. But from here, instead of keeping up the pressure with the strikes, Kelvin Gastelum, for some reason, decides this is a great time to go for a takedown. And of course, The takedown was stopped by Israel, and Israel got a little bit of time, the little bit of time that he needed to recover. The round ends, and again, I also gave this round to Kelvin Gastelum. So at this point, going into the 5th round, it was 2-2 in my opinion. The last round, though, the championship round, this had to be the round where the fighter who wanted this fight more, who wanted this belt more, would need to rise to the occasion. And that is exactly what Israel did. With about 3 minutes left in the round, Israel actually goes for 2 submissions. One guillotine while standing and a triangle submission while on the bottom, showing that he is more than a striker. From here, he started to completely take over the fight, piecing up Kelvin, landing right hands at will. And with about a minute left in the round, Israel actually drops him with a clean cross. With about 30 seconds in, Israel drops him again with a cross. And with 10 seconds left on the clock, Israel drops him one more time, ending the round on top. And the clear winner of the fight, Israel Adesanya. Honestly, while this fight was going on, like I had completely forgotten that we still had one more fight, the main event. Like Israel versus Kelvin was so good, such a high-level championship quality fight. I actually forgot about the main event. That's how good this fight was. Both men gave it everything they had. They fought to the best of their ability, but Israel was just a little bit better. And he also had the heart to push as hard as he did in the 5th round to secure that win. I mean, Kelvin fought really, really hard. He fought with a lot of heart, but Israel just pushed a little bit harder, and he secured that 5th round, the most important round in a championship fight. As a fellow Nigerian, I can't tell you guys how proud it made me seeing that belt wrapped around his waist. That's the second time I've got to see a Nigerian native like myself get a belt in the UFC, man. And I get it. I'm sure it's only an interim belt, and he's gonna need to fight Robert Whittaker to unify it. But still, the man got a belt, a well-deserved belt, and I can't wait to see him finally get a crack at the real one. Now, I understand he has a lot of hype behind him, and he might still be very green in this game of MMA, but I think he's ready. I definitely think he's ready. He can probably say that he has been tested, he has been battle tested, and he has actually overcome adversity against a high-level middleweight. He is ready, and win or lose, I guarantee this man is going to give Robert Whittaker a run for his money. I can guarantee that. But that's where I'm going to end this video. I know, I didn't talk about the main event. I did not forget. I didn't forget. I still have some thoughts about the main event, but I really want to do another fighter showcase. This time a double fighter showcase, Max Holloway and Dustin Poirier in one video. And that's where I'm going to give you guys my thoughts about the main event. The main event was incredible. It really was. It was amazing. But I'll give you guys my thoughts on it when I record the double fighter showcase for both guys. But that's it. I'm going to end it right here. Let me know in the comment section what you guys thought about the card as a whole. Specifically, I want to know if you guys saw the Roundtree fight, the Khalil Roundtree versus Eric Anders fight. I want to know if you guys watched it, and I want to know what you guys think about Khalil Roundtree and his performance and his growth as a striker and as a fighter. And I also want to know how you guys scored the co-main event. I'm kind of seeing a few people saying they think Kelvin Gastelum was robbed. I really don't see how. I mean, even if they were going into that 5th round with Kelvin ahead, I still think that 5th round probably was a 10-8 round. That's what I think it was. I mean, getting dropped like 4 times in one round, that has to secure you a 10-8 round. So I definitely scored the fight for Israel Adesanya, but let me know in the comment section who you guys think actually won the fight. But that is it. Thank you so much for watching. It means a lot. Watch out for that showcase for Dustin and Max Holloway, and I will see you guys very soon. As always, stay safe. Have a wonderful day.